Okay. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the topic we're going to cover today is 5 practical steps to activate the abundance economy. I want this to be as practical and as applied as possible because here's the thing that I think is the beef I think that a lot of us have with these conversations around the abundance economy is like, sounds great, but like how? Like what? What is the thing I'm meant to do? What is the step that I'm meant to follow, right? So I really want to make this as applied and grounded as possible. I also think that there has been some disservice done to the concept of the abundance economy with I would say kind of like law of attraction teachings that I don't know, maybe they're true, maybe they're not true. Who am I to say? But they have not been my experience, let's put it that way. And this is something that I have worked with for years with myself, my own business, with my clients, and also kind of studied bits and pieces from a theoretical perspective when I was in university, when I studied economics. As most of you know, I have a master's degree in econ. I studied economics for 6 years, and understanding money and the economy has been a passion of mine for many years. So let's get started. The first piece I want to share with you is that the abundance economy requires, well, maybe we should define it a little bit. When you guys hear the term abundance economy, what comes to mind for you? If anyone wants to share in the chat what their associations are with it, and what, like, when you hear that term, what do you think? And it's interesting because I've made posts about this over the years, and there's a lot of feeling to me of like, well, I want it. I don't know what it means. I feel like I know what the opposite is, right? Because to me, the opposite would be scarcity-based economics, right? Many of us feel like we get that. But like, what is abundance? What is the abundance economy? What does it mean to play in the abundance economy? And I think one of the myths, I'm going to call it a myth because I don't feel the truth of it, is that activating the abundance economy means everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows, that I can like feel things and sense things and know things, and poof, they instantly happen. And maybe that is possible at some point in time with certain experiences. I don't know, but I've yet to experience that in business, that it's like it happens instantly, right? In my experience, it's a process of becoming. And, it's also this, it's not a switch. It's not like you're in scarcity or you're in abundance. It's a becoming, is how it feels to me. There are certain aspects of our life that we play in scarcity. There are certain aspects of our life that we play in abundance. The polarization of both of those things, I don't know, like, is it bad? Is it wrong? Maybe there's good things about it. Maybe we don't need to be so quick to judge, the scarcity as it arises. But for me, what I play with myself with is like, reminding myself I get to be both. I can feel scarcity at times, I can feel constrictions at times. And it's also true that the abundance is present, and that the abundance is being birthed, and that the abundance is expanding. And so I play with that conversation in my head. Now, from like a more like academic theoretical framework, what do I mean like conceptually? Scarcity-based economics is based on the study of scarce resources. That is the literal definition of economics, is the study of scarce resources. And that makes sense when you are dealing with a resource-based economy. There is only so much trees, there is only so much oil, there is only so much fish, whatever, right? When you go to the grocery store, there is X number of things to buy on the shelf, and when they're gone, right? It's scarce. It's a scarce resource. And so we can price scarcity. We can think about scarcity of like, well, what happens when we run out of oil? What happens when we run out of fresh water? What happens when we run out of trees? As these resources become more scarce, they become more precious. And this is kind of like the foundation of capitalism in a sense, right? This is kind of the root of how people have like been able to generate wealth, is by activating what's a scarce resource and sharing it, being clear on value. Scarcity and value in this economy are very intertwined. Okay. Did you guys know you're going to get a mini econ lecture today? I don't know. Are we here for the mini econ lecture? Or do we want to go straight to like business? I love how Jennifer's like, yeah, let's talk about econ. Some of you guys were like, I hated econ in university. Why are we talking about this? But I want to give you the framework to understand, because you cannot access it if you don't understand that it's possible for you. Okay, so scarcity-based economics equals scarce resources. Okay, things and resources are scarce. Okay, abundant economies are based on abundant resources. To me, when I think of abundance, I think of the more I play, use, consume, work with, the more it grows. Okay. This is true when it comes to specific products that we're selling. For example, the more we play in the world of numerology, the more we talk about it, share with it, practice it, the more it's available for the world, right? The more I speak about numerology, it contributes to the collective field. And that's why more and more people can tap into it. The more we talk about healing energy and energy work, the more we play with certain fields like the Akashic Records. Pop in the chat if you've got other ideas for me of like what's an energy resource that the more you play with it, the more exists. When we base our business models on a scarce resource, we're playing in that scarce economy. Fine, whatever. That is what it is. But can you also explore where in your business you're playing with an energy where the more you play with it, the more exists. The more you play with it, the more is available. The more you play with it, the more other people can access. If you can even identify one little inch of your business that is firmly rooted in abundance, whether it's mindset, breath work is a great example. Thanks, Ryan. I love that. Energy work, healing, Akashic Records, numerology, intuitive divination practices. The more you play with any of those energy concepts, the more exist, which means you're playing in the abundance economy. Okay, so I wanted to just kind of frame that before we start. So do you guys see, I want you to just let me know in the comments, do you see, Reiki would be another example of this. Biokinesiology is another example of this. Understanding like crystals, for example, who's to say whether they're a scarce or abundant resource, but understanding how crystal energy works, abundant resource, right? So EFT tapping, that's another one. If you guys want to pop in the chat, can you identify an aspect of your work that you feel like this piece of it is rooted in the abundance economies? Yeah. Any healing energy, hypnosis, beautiful. I do not know what brain spotting is, but yes, that sounds amazing. Tarot, yes. You guys know my love of tarot. Enneagram human design, vibrational healing, energy work, absolutely. All of these things are rooted in abundance. The more you use them, the more you play with them, the more exist. Yoga, oh, absolutely. Attracting soulmate clients, absolutely. When you think of your body of work, okay, so if you have a body of work, there's going to be two components in your body of work. One is going to be informational, and one is going to be transformational. Okay. So for example, let's use attracting soulmate clients as an example of this. Attracting soulmate clients, Anne-Marie can share information around it. She can explain how it works. She can explain what it means to have a soulmate client, whatever, so people can have like the information to understand it. Then she also has a transformational part where people can energetically connect with their soulmate clients. They can embody the solution. They can articulate who they're meant to communicate with. And this is the transformational piece. If you guys saw the little bit I wrote about the abundance economy a few weeks back, I did a blog post and a social media post on this. That is my delineation in my work. I'm very clear that the information is free. You guys can Google Everything I teach in any of my courses, you can Google it. You can get the book from the library. You can find it. You can ask ChatGPT. I'm sure you could probably ask AI to teach you numerology. The information is free. That is not where the value lies, in my understanding. Okay. So you guys try this on. I'm just sharing my understanding. You try it on and see where it fits for you. The value in my world lies in the transformation, in the application, in the integration. You can ask and read the books and get the downloads off of the internet all day long. In fact, lots of people do. But does that change your life? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But for most people, they need a guide. They need someone to walk with them. They need someone to hold their hand. They need someone to initiate them into the energetics that are understood. That is the abundance economy. That is pricing transformation. That's priceless. That's why, I can teach a program that I charge hundreds or thousands for, where the information in air quotes is like, you could get it in a $20 book somewhere, right? But most people will read the book and will not experience transformation or integration, right? So receiving a guide is critical to support your transformation. And that's what you get to do when you start to play with these concepts in the abundance economy. Are you guys with me right now? Aw, thanks for having a guide like me. I appreciate it. Yes, the belief that anything is possible. So good. Does anyone have any questions about this concept of scarcity and abundance, how we can kind of wrap our brains around them, and then this delineation between information and transformation? And the reason I want to highlight that to some degree, did anyone take Econ 101 in university here? Or is this like completely out of left field? Some people yes, some people no. The idea of a competitive economy means that there's always going to be someone who can come along and do it cheaper. Okay. That's the idea of a competitive economy, which means I could start selling something, whatever it is, let's say numerology, and someone can come along and sell it for cheaper. Absolutely. If it's information-based, the thing is the thing is the thing, right? If it's the formula and how to calculate numbers, I could sell it for $100. Somebody could open up a store tomorrow and sell it for 75, and all of a sudden I have no business. And then somebody could come along the next day and open up another store and sell it for 50, and all of a sudden they have no business, and everyone's going to the next thing, right? This is this idea of a competitive economy where the only thing people are competing on is price and something that is like the same. Like the formula is the formula. Whether you download a book, go on numerology.com, get a reading from me, whatever, the formula is the formula. That if you live in selling information, you will always be stressed about pricing. You will always be anxious about what's your pricing, what should you charge, who's charging more, who's charging less, what are your competitors charging, because you're in a highly competitive field. The key to not play into that game of competitive economics where it's like gas price wars. That's a great example that a lot of people can think about is gas price wars, right? The Shell drops the price, and then the Chevron drops the price, and then the Husky drops the price, and then all of a sudden nobody's making any money and they all jack the prices up again. Well, that's collusion, but you know what I'm saying, right? We don't want to get caught in that like compete against price point. So what you do want to do is you want to understand, what is it about me that's number one, abundant, and number two, not the same? What is the space I hold, the energy I create that is not the same? You can learn numerology from lots of other teachers, but there's a way I teach it that's unique. There's a way I teach it that's different. That's what makes it different. If I was worried about it being based on just the formula, what do you think that's going to do to my energy and my mindset? Right? I'm going to start researching who else is selling it and what are they selling it for, and they're better than me and their branding is prettier than mine, and oh my God. And then we go in these spiral loops that is like one of the foundations of scarcity-based economy is this like not enoughness vibe, right? It's dominant. So it's like, no, wait, hold on. This is what I'm valuing. And when you value something, that's what you price. valuing transformation, valuing integration, valuing the energetics, which is going to not be the same no matter where you go, right? It's not the same. And this is exactly why, let's go back to the yoga example again. This is exactly why you can have different yoga teachers that charge completely different prices, right? I mean, I'm not a yoga expert, but to me, a sun salutation is a sun salutation. The energetic space that the teacher holds for me is what I value. The conversation, the energy in the room, what's available for me. Do I feel safe? Am I able to access the things I need to access? That's the value. Price that. Nobody else can do that except for you. Your energy is completely unique. The way you will hold space, the way you will create transformation, that is completely unique. And the more you sit comfortably in that, then you can step out of some of the fears and the spirals that scarcity-based economics can create for you. Are you guys with me so far? Anyone have any questions? Is anybody clicking in this, or is there pieces that you're trying to grasp at that haven't landed? I just want to get a temperature check before I move on to the 5 steps. Yes. Thank you, Vicki. I love it. Me too. You know what I love so much is that there is a room of people who will let me nerd out on economics. So thank you. Oh, you guys are awesome. Okay. So let's start with a couple of mindsets that I encourage you to play with. Okay. Mindset number 1 is, will you give yourself permission to believe that there is an abundance economy? Will you give yourself permission to believe that there is an abundance economy? I encourage you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 for that, or maybe it's just like 10, like, yes, I believe it, right? Okay. But if you're like, I want to, I'm not sure, maybe you'll rate it a little bit lower. That's totally fine. There's no right or wrong here. Me posing these questions to you is really valuable, because when I pose them in a question, it's going to start to create cracks in the foundations of the old belief systems. Those old belief systems are like a fortress. They do not tear down easily, right? In my experience. Obviously, there can be, quantum leaps that happen, but that's not the norm, right? So we start by just creating some little cracks in the foundation. Do I believe it's possible that I can play, or sorry, first of all, that it exists? Do I believe it's possible that the abundant economy exists? And then the second question to ask yourself is, do I give myself permission to explore it? Do I give myself permission to explore the abundance economy? Right? And really sitting with that. For those of you who know EFT, this is a really, really powerful statement that you can use with tapping to create some ease in your body, right? Do I give myself permission to explore playing in the abundance economy? Do I give myself permission to consider that the abundance economy is available for me? Right? Might not be true in this moment. I might not play there yet, but do I give myself permission to think it's possible, and that I might, and that I could? Right? And just start to ask those questions. For me, one of the greatest things when I ask that question is, okay, I don't know if I have it yet, but let me look around the world and let me see, who do I know who does have it? Right? Because if I can identify that there's some other people who have access to it, then it exists. Right? And that's all I need to know. Then I can decide, do I choose to pursue that? Do I choose to experience that? Do I choose for that to be part of my reality? Okay. The next question I want to ask you is, can you identify a piece of your work that fits within the abundance economy? Okay, so any of those energy pieces we already talked about, can you identify a piece of your work that fits within the abundance economy? And I really want you to just play and explore with these mindsets for a little bit, because it's only possible for you to access if you believe that it's there, right? It's only possible for you to access if you believe that it's there. This is especially true because the dominant programming benefits from you not believing it. There is a dominant programming that benefits from you playing into scarcity economics, right? And so whenever you want to embody a belief system that goes against the grain, that goes against the dominant narrative, it's like a little bit like swimming upstream. It requires mindfulness and a decision and a bit of discipline to hold that, because if you don't, and you can easily get swept back into what the dominant story is, right? So this is where, you know, for me, I have some very strict rules and boundaries around my energy. I do not watch the news. I went to the gym last night at like 6 p.m., which I never go to the gym at 6 p.m. I always go first thing in the morning. And the news was playing on one of the TVs. And I haven't seen the news in so long that I was like, whoa, the news is on. I couldn't hear it because I'm at the gym, but I could see the images. And even though it was like one TV and then there was other TVs playing like the cooking channel and whatever else, I was like viscerally impacted by the images. And I'm like, there's people who watch this every single day. And just so noticing, like, what are my boundaries around maintaining my energy in the belief systems that truly serve me? And where do I falter on that, you know, versus where can I honor those boundaries? So for me, like I said, not watching the news, purposely programming my brain with the ideas that I'm manifesting for myself, I choose to believe are true for myself, I'm creating for myself. So I listen to certain like podcasts or audios or YouTubes or things like that to support me to embody the beliefs that I choose to believe are true, right? If you don't have a feeling around it, it's really hard for it to become your normal. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments here. I love it. You guys are all seeing where the abundance exists in your business: Akashic Records, wealth DNA activation, intuitive financial coaching. Absolutely. Working on transforming relationships. Absolutely. Yeah. Awareness is the first step in the transformation formula. The first step, you have to be aware, right? You have to be aware. That is the number one piece. Okay. The second mindset I want to put in there is that, in my understanding of abundance, it does not equal the absence of action or the absence of hard work. I think it's a misbelief, a misunderstanding, a misapplication of the law of attraction, that there is not work to be done. In my experience, even playing in the abundance economy, there is still work to be done. I still have to build a sales page. I still have to have a clicky button. I still have to do my taxes. I still have to have sales conversations. I still have to market. I still have to be willing to talk about what I do, to share my work. Right? Like I can't just like sit in my room and close my eyes and meditate and be like, I'm fully in the abundance economy, and then expect like money land in my bank account without a payment link. Like, how does money land in my bank account without a payment link? And hey, I'm here for the magical manifestation of money, but also like, let's help the universe out, and like, let's like, you know, put some of these stepping stones in place to make it a little bit easier. And so when I think of the abundance economy, I remind myself that it's the integration of the masculine directive and structured principles with the feminine energetic creative chaotic principles coming together. It's both. I get to be structured and disciplined, and I get to be creative and energetic. And when I embody both of those in my business, to me, that is activating the highest energy in both forms, bringing them together to create an opportunity, to create a potential, to create a possibility. So if I am overly in one side or the other, it's tricky, right? And I do feel like, you know, most of us are healing from excessively directive practices in business, right? The excessively masculine business models. And so we're learning how to integrate both. And in learning how to integrate both, we might swing the pendulum one side or the other a little extreme. And that's okay. That's how we learn, right? That's totally okay. So then it's just to me reminding myself, okay, let me come back to center here. How do I integrate both? Yeah, we want answers from the universe, but the universe wants answers from us too. I love that. That is so, so true. We're co-creating, right? We're absolutely co-creating. Okay. That was the academic lecture, the conceptual and the mindset. Are you guys ready to get into some of the practical steps now? You with me? All right, let's do this. Okay, step number one to building like a business that's rooted in the abundance economy is you have to be willing to build a community. I do not know how it's possible to play in the abundance economy without a community. The lone wolf isolation is old energy. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks for popping in the chat. Step one, be willing to build a community. Building a community is vulnerable. It's scary. We have trauma around it. We have fears around it, insecurities around it. There might be times in the past where, like rejection issues or, feeling left out or any of these kinds of feelings, being willing to be seen, being willing to be visible, being willing to make mistakes in public. That's a really tricky one these days with like quote unquote cancel culture is like, are you willing to take a stand on issues that may or may not be popular and risk the backlash that can come of it? It's kind of necessary to build a community. It's not necessary that you express massively polarizing views, of course, but it is necessary that you're willing to put yourself out there as a human who's failable, who's not perfect, who's going to mess it up, and who's not going to get it right every time. And trust yourself that whatever happens, I'll be okay. I'll be able to sort this out. I'll be able to work through this because I don't have to do it alone, because I have a community, because I have people that have my back, because I've had their back and we do this together and we reciprocate and it's reciprocal and I lift them up and they lift me up and we support each other and we all get to thrive and the rising tide lifts all boats, right? And the more you really embody this energy in community building, honestly, you guys, through some of the challenges I faced in my business over the past few years, if it wasn't for my community, I do not think I would be here. The number of times that my community has had my back when I've had issues with kids being sick, issues with technology, issues with things not working properly. And I've had to literally message someone who's in my community, whether it's a client, a colleague, whatever, and been like, can you please help me? This is what I need help with. And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. I got you. Like, thank you. Thank you. Right. But in order for me to have that in my business, I need to first be willing to be that. I need to be willing to hold space for other people. And I need to be willing to ask. Like, if I didn't ask, no one would have known I needed help. If I thought I had to be this like lone wolf who figured it all out my own, that would have been a big fail because I would have had no one to ask. Right. So being willing to build community. And I think the more we understand this, we used to have this view of a hierarchy in business, right? Where it's like there's one person at the top that knows everything. Everybody else is at the bottom trying to learn and figure it out, climbing to the top. And eventually, if you view that and you're like, I'm climbing to the top, there's only room for one person at the top. So even if you do make it, eventually you're going to get pushed down again because somebody else is going to climb over top of you. And it's a very like cutthroat vibe versus being like, wait a second, in this abundance economy, like there's enough room for all of us. There is no ladder. In fact, it's like more like a field or a meadow or a beach. And we all get to sit together. And there's going to be a thing that you excel at. And I'm going to look to you because you excel at that. That's your genius. And there's going to be a thing that I excel at. And you're going to look to me because I excel at that. And that's my genius. But there's room for all of us here. There's room for all of us here. Right. The more you view business as a circle versus a ladder or like a whatever triangle, I guess, the more you view it as a circle, the more you'll be able to grow and build community. And the community is critical because it's that sense of like, if we all thrive, we all thrive together. The other thing that I will say is that understanding numerology or some system to understand where your strengths are and where your community members' strengths are helps. Because it's like, I don't have to pretend to be an energy I'm not. I know what energy I am. I know what energy you are. I will let you shine and thrive in that. You will let me shine and thrive in this. And it's okay. We're different. We're unique. And this is another key. If you guys can pick up this thread, and when I was talking about a competitive economy thrives on sameness, right? Like gas prices. Gas is gas is gas. So it's easy for them to compete at the pricing level and have one person at the top making lots of money and everybody else below them. Am I frozen? No. Okay, good. So focusing on, we're not the same. We are different. We are unique. This is where we do not necessarily need to have scarcity-based pricing because we're not pricing the same thing anymore. My numerology is different than any other numerology teachers out there. So I don't need to worry that there's going to be other people popping up teaching numerology or that, whatever, right? Because I'm focusing on my uniqueness. This is so important. In fact, I can celebrate them. I can honor them. I can, whatever, right? So building community, number one. It gives you, if you can create a community where people feel safe, where there's a beautiful connection, number one, it gives you room to collaborate. It gives you room to collaborate where you get to support other people and other people support you, where you get to be invited into other people's communities as a guest teacher. This is a secret, you guys. Knowing that piece right there, being invited into other people's communities as a guest teacher, that has the power to blow up your business in the best possible way. But it's only possible if you're willing to invite other people into your community as well, right? There needs to be reciprocity. So room to collaborate and guest experts. Okay. So honoring that, celebrating that will help you build your community. Are we done with number one? Ready for number two? Number two is client attraction. There needs to be a way for you to attract and connect with clients. There needs to be a way for them to see, feel, and sense what it is that's the value that you provide. Okay. They need to feel and sense the piece we were talking about that is abundance based, the transformation, the energetics, the pieces that are uniquely you, right? So hold on one second here. I do not understand because my screen is freezing for me, which is very distracting. So just bear with me for 1 second while I close some windows. Is it working better now? They need to be able to, your clients, they need to be able to find a way to connect with you, right? Remembering the energetic piece. So if you're only, talking about things from the information-based level, your clients aren't necessarily going to understand what's unique about you. They're going to need to have a sense of how to feel you, right? For me, I cannot get enough of experiences that are either like master classes, live trainings, challenges, and video. And I believe that's because that the energy is felt through something that's more than two-dimensional, right? It's not to say that I don't use other styles of marketing. You guys know I love email marketing. I think it's so powerful. Your email inbox is an incredibly intimate and beautiful place. And To me, it's a sacred relationship that I have with people when we're connected at the email level. Like the emails I receive and the emails I share are incredibly sacred. But I need to have a way to connect with my clients, attract my clients. So how am I going to do that? I need to be able to share with them in such a way that they build trust both with me and with themselves, right? Your clients likely have been on this journey for some time, and they may have had some experiences where they tried things and didn't work for them, or they tried things and they didn't get the results they wanted to get. And that can create like this buyer's hesitation, right? And so it's our job to show them how they can trust both us, like I'm going to be this reliable person, but also themselves. Like this system can work for you. Here's why. Here's who it's for. Here's who it's not for, right? Being willing to share that openly so that they can try on your teachings to see how it feels in their beingness, right? Being able to talk about it and share about it. Like me talking about the abundance economy on and off over the past little while, there's some people who hear that and they're like, oh, hell no. And they step back. Perfect. Like that's good. That's a good thing. If you listen or read my teachings and they create resistance in your body, then don't participate. That's not for you. If you hear them and feel them and read them and listen to them and they create a lean in feeling, then perfect. That's exactly what your soul is desiring. That's exactly what your soul is needing. So in saying that, are you giving your clients an opportunity to feel out what it would be like to work with you? What your ideas are? What is the message that you're sharing? What is the solution you're offering? What is the challenge you're solving? Right? How do they know? And it never fails to me that, so often I'll end up clicking on somebody's link through Instagram or whatever, scrolling through their Instagram feed, and I'm like, I actually have no idea what this person does or stands for. And it's like, I was drawn to them for something, but I'm also like, I don't really know what you do. I don't really know what you stand for. So even though I was drawn to you, now I'm like, how do I learn more? How do I feel if you're the right thing for me? Your people need to feel you. They need to feel you. So in numerology, one of the things I love, love, love to do about this is to understand my codes, the codes of the clients I'm working with, and understand the energetic patterns, because then I can speak to the energy that everyone's already feeling, right? You can speak to what's happening in the collective. You can speak to the patterns that you see showing up often in your Zoom rooms, in your offices, whatever. And you can do this whether or not you're going to talk about numerology openly, or whether you just use numerology to inform you and then you talk about what's coming up, right? You could talk all about this 8 energy year without ever mentioning that it's an 8 energy year. You could talk all about this 1 energy month without ever mentioning that it's a 1 energy month. But when you do that and you position your problem and your solution, the answers that you share, how you support people from the lens of what's happening at the collective level, people resonate. They're like, oh my God, yeah, January, man, it was hard. There was a lot of darkness. There was a lot of grief. I was struggling a lot. I felt like I was in a cave. Yeah, that's because it's a 9 energy month. I don't have to tell you that it's a 9. I can just say, I get that you were feeling grief. Here's, maybe you got tools to support them. Maybe you got a meditation to help them. Maybe you got an energy clearing to help them. Right now that they're in February, it's like, oh yeah, let's like new beginnings, new starts. Like I want to try something new, like planting some seeds. Okay. It's a great time to, learn this practice from me, listen to this audio from me, try this tool, book a session on this, right? And really speaking to the energy patterns, and it gives you a frame for your problem and solution over and over and over again. Because every single month, there's going to be a slight tweak, a slight adjustment on how you will position your product, right? And it gives people more and more time to build that sense of trust, both with you and with themselves. So with number 2, which is client attraction, you can use forecasting. You can use one-on-one, where you do like a discovery session and you do mini numerology readings. mini blueprints to help understand why they've been sabotaging, why they keep getting stuck, why the last, things they tried didn't work. This is my favorite thing to see. Like if someone comes to me and they're like, I've been trying to do X, Y, and Z and it's not working. I'm like, great, let me look at your numerology chart and tell me what you've tried. And when they tell me, it never fails that I can look at their grid and I'm like, yeah, it didn't work for you because what they were trying to get you to do is a mental exercise, and you don't have a lot of mental energy. You're actually quite physical. You actually need a physical exercise in order to get some results. And they're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, yeah, okay, so let's propose like some kind of strategy that's going to be more physically grounding for you. That's going to do more than like thinking about things all day long, right? And it's like, oh yeah, you get me. Okay, now we can go on to the next step, right? Or if you're working with someone and you're like, oh, my usual strategy is like they're not really clicking. Let me see why. Look at their grid. Look at their chart. I can see why when I look there, right? And so this is to me such a beautiful client attraction. Like I said, you can do one-to-one or one-to-many. One-to-many would be things like forecasting, your general content, your email content, your marketing content. I teach more about this in my membership. So if you guys want to focus specifically on marketing content, that's what I teach in my Magical Magnetic Content membership. It's only $27 a month, and we actually create content together every single month. So that place is a really fun place to get together if you like, I just want to practice the marketing piece, right? The second part is this idea of one-to-one. And this is where building a numerology practice, I think, is really helpful because you can look at their energy grids and you can get a sense of how to map out a coaching session for them, how to map out a coaching plan for them, why they failed at certain things in the past, what you believe will be their gateway to success. The other thing I find it really does is it really creates a sense of trust, because when I say to my client, oh, you have the arrow of frustration. That means that when things aren't in alignment for you, you get frustrated really easily. How does that feel? And then they'll be like, oh my God. Like when you pick up something in someone's chart and you point it out to them, most of the time they're like, like you've articulated a thing I haven't been able to explain. I'm like, yeah. So here's the thing about the arrow of frustration. It means X, Y, Z. It will show up to sabotage you like this, but it creates an opportunity like this. So if you want support, let's dial into how we can expand this opportunity and how we can avoid some of the sabotages that might show up, right? And then from there, I can make a coaching plan, right? Yes, Ryan's in the content membership. He's saying a substantial value for the monthly price point. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, absolutely. We do hot seat coaching, we do content planning, and we write together, which is really fun. Okay, so that's number 2, that's client attraction. Number 3, any questions about that? The one-to-one client attraction versus the one-to-many? Okay, can you guys see yourself using those pieces? Is there one in there where you're like, I want to get better at this? Yeah, Tina's saying, yeah, absolutely. Can you see how it would support you to like build that relationship with your clients? Because that's basically, in my opinion, what client attraction is. So many times we struggle with the languaging because the languaging feels off, which is fine. But to me, client attraction is really relationship building. Yes, using forecasts in my videos and socials. I've been doing monthly and annual forecasting for years. I don't even know. I should check how many years I've been streaming it to my YouTube now. And it's amazing. I've had people who watched them for years, every single month without fail. And like years later, they'll come and they'll be a client, right? And that's okay. That's perfect. That's exactly what it took for them to have the need, for the timing to be right. But in the meantime, I was building that relationship this whole time. Ooh, I love this. Lara's saying, I want to start providing an embodied experience of the month energy. Yes, with yoga, energy work, and meditation. Huge, 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 huge. I love that so much, the embodied experience. I love that actually, that connection between yoga and numerology for that reason. You and Sarah Porter should connect. I don't know if you already have, but Sarah Porter was also talking about yoga and using numerology to inform building her yoga classes. So good. Okay. Number 3. Yes, I definitely need to work on those relationships. I just joined Magnetic. Yeah, I'm so glad the content membership. I love it. I can't wait for the March sessions. Absolutely. Our next class in the content membership starts next Wednesday. So I'm so glad, Vicky. All right. Step number 3 to these 5 practical steps is accessibly priced product. Okay. It's so important to have an accessibly priced product. What does accessible mean? You're going to define that for yourself and for your clients. For everyone, it's different. The accessible price point is a price point where you don't have to think about it. There's no, I have to check my budget. I've got to see if my husband's okay with this. I have to see if I have enough money in my bank account. It's like you see the thing, you want the thing, you buy the thing, right? So depending on your niche and your client base, that's going to be different for everybody. It might be $50, it might be $100, it might be $200. So I want you to think about, for you, what would likely be that inaccessible or that accessible price point where it doesn't matter how much money the person has or doesn't have. They will say yes if they feel the full body yes, right? They won't make it a price decision. Okay, accessibly priced product is such an important way for people to start to build trust with you. This is one of those things where even if they do have budget, there's a lot of people who are like, I need to dip my toe in the pond and feel the temperature of the water. I need to feel a sense of like, will your methods work for me? Is this a thing that makes sense in my system? Is this a thing I can digest and process with? Will it work for me? And so many people have this trauma of like buying stuff, hiring people who let them down. And so being able to offer someone something accessible is such a gift of love, because it's like, I'm not going to let you down. Like, we're going to figure this out together. We're here together. We're going to make this work. Right. And that kind of feeds back into the whole idea of building your community. Right. So important. So accessibly priced product is so important. So with an accessibly priced product, what are you going to build? Okay. Through the lens of numerology, one of my favorite things to do is a forecast. And here's why. Because when people come to me for a forecast, they ask me about their goals. They tell me, this is what I'm trying to manifest. This is what I'm working on. They tell me, these are my challenges. These are the things I'm struggling with. How do I get this result? How do I get this outcome? And then when I give them the forecast, it's up to me to comb through their numerology report and show them the pathways to make those things happen, right? And there's a few reasons why this is solid gold, because number one, it's built a relationship between us. Okay. Now we can trust each other. Now they understand how it works. If they don't like numerology, now they know, and they don't have to buy anything else from me. Right. And they're not out a lot. It's no big deal. It also tells me what my clients are going through, right? Every time someone comes to me with a list of goals, a list of desires, a list of struggles, I note that. That is research for me, because then I can be sharing this content. I mean, not in such a way that would ever reveal what they're going through, that person, whatever. I would never share private information. But if somebody keeps coming to me and saying, for example, this is what happened in January. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of heaviness. There's a lot of childhood wounding coming up. Like, okay, let me speak to that then, so that you realize you're not alone, so that you realize that you have support, so that you realize there's a way through this. It's not going to last forever. Here's how to handle it. And here's what's going to happen next. Right? So number one, I get to build a client relationship, but then I also get marketing content. I also get things to talk about. I could create freebies and opt-ins. I could create, I don't do this, but if I did, I could create guided meditations on this. I could create a journal on this, right? Like, how beautiful. That would be a beautiful, easy download, would be a journal on something like that with the energies are. You could charge, anywhere between $20 to $60 for it. And you could even turn it into a physical product that you sold on Amazon if you wanted, all as informed by your energy forecast. So It's such a beautiful way to build that trust with clients, get them to dip their toe in the pool, to make it easy yeses for them. Okay. This money though, okay, I might get flack for saying this. You cannot build a sustainable business off an accessibly priced product. I could not pay my bills if the only thing I ever did was one-on-one numerology readings. I could not pay my bills. I mean, maybe if you live in a different city than me, it'd be possible. I don't know. There is no way I could cover my expenses if all I did was one-on-one readings. It would not work, especially one-off ones. Okay. So while they build relationships, while they bring people into my world, while they build trust, unless my goal is just to make a few $1,000s, it's not going to cut it. If you want to make anything more than, let's say, $3,000 a month, it's not going to cut it. You need to have more than one-on-one, one-off sessions. Okay. Again, I might get hate for this. Some people, maybe it's an unpopular opinion, and maybe that's your goal. Like some people, all they want is a few $1,000s a month. And if that's the case, great. That's amazing. I have 3 children and I'm a single mom. If I was making $3,000 a month, I don't know where we'd be living. Would not be possible. Especially in Kelowna. Oh my Lord, honestly. Yeah, Tina's going, yeah. The Okanagan has just gotten insane with housing prices. That's another issue. So from an accessible priced product, you also need to recognize that this is what will build your business. Depending on where you're at, if your business annual income is less than 40 grand a year, these people will build your business. This is gold. They will tell you what their challenges are. You will see patterns. You will see that you start to develop a system and a strategy and like, oh yeah, every time people come to me, we always do X, Y, Z first. Wow, now you have the framework for something. The framework for something that you can build in a couple different ways, either in a one-to-many basis, in a system, in a strategy of some sort that you can do as a mastermind, a coaching container, a course, some kind of teaching thing, right? Where you can help people one-to-many. Because this is number 4, sustainable is there's two choices in sustainable. Either it's one-to-many, where you've got a system, a signature system, a process, a course, a download, something like that, where it's not just you one-on-one anymore. But you kind of have to put your dues in to build number 4. You kind of have to like have a sense of like, this is why people come to me, right? It's really tricky because sometimes people will try to build number 4 before they have number 3 in place. And if you do that, you run the danger of building a product that nobody buys, right? Because you don't yet know, you haven't tested it. You haven't checked if the market even wants this. You haven't checked to see if it even actually works, right? Like, and all those things might be true, but like, it's kind of better to know that before you build it. And even after you build it, you're going to tweak it and adjust it as you go. So why not start on the foundation of research first? Okay. So number 4, sustainable product, either one-to-many or a higher ticket investment. Okay, so you can still do one-to-one if it's either a long-term container, a higher ticket investment, people who are buying, like, say, a 6-month coaching package, something like that. This creates sustainability in your finances. This gives you room to breathe. This gives you some predictability so you don't feel like you're constantly wondering when your next sale is coming in. If you don't have something sustainable, it's going to very much feel like you're kind of like paycheck to paycheck in your business. And that is not a recipe for feeling abundant. It's not, right? So really thinking to yourself, what is sustainable? Okay, what is sustainable? Again, with the numerology, I love to recognize the patterns I see in my clients. One of the ones that Anne-Marie refers to quite a lot is that she notices that a lot of her clients have multiple ones in their chart. And that means that her clients have a lot of ideas. And so she talks a lot about this and helps people with this in her products and her programs, right? Now she can help them one-to-many because she knows a lot of them have this and she knows how it manifests, what the challenges are and what the opportunities are. So she can build products and programs around that. So the more you start to see these patterns emerge in your clients, the more you can actually meet them there, right? And honor them there. And then of course, if you're using a blueprint or a numerology birth chart to plan out how you can support a client with a specific challenge, now you can position a 6-month coaching container of being like, okay, you came to me. These are the goals you had. Here's the challenges you had. Here's what the forecast says. Do you want me to support you to manifest that? Here's how I can support you. We can work together for 6 months. We can do X, Y, Z. We can work through these aspects within your chart. And it starts to give you a framework for your sales calls and your discovery calls, which is super, super powerful, right? Super powerful. Does anyone have any questions about this sustainable product? Yeah, I'll give you guys a summary at the end too. Yeah, Anne-Marie's making a really good point. There's always overhead. There's always overhead in terms of like, you're going to have your fixed costs, like, software and taxes and paying your accountant and whatever else, your VA. But also like, if you're doing your own marketing and sales calls and content creation, you kind of have to factor that in, right? So I probably spend 30 to 50% of my time doing those tasks. So if I'm not pricing my products accordingly, all of a sudden my hourly wage is really, really low, right? And so you really kind of need to be aware with the sustainable product. This helps to cover a lot of these expenses that you're facing. Yeah, number 4 is the sustainable product. Absolutely. So either one-to-many or long-term packages. Whew, I know it's 11 o'clock. We're at an hour. Oh yeah, when you talk about programs, what are your thoughts about in-person versus evergreen versus online? If you love in-person, then do in-person. If you love evergreen and online, do evergreen and online. I will not advise a person to build an evergreen program until they've done enough in person that they understand what will sell and what won't sell, right? Because I see this happen where people build products, they spend hours building evergreen things, and then nobody buys them because number 1, they haven't learned how to sell them, right? Number 2, they don't actually know what the market wants and needs. They haven't tested anything. Their clients haven't had any interaction with them to know if it's a fit or if it's not a fit. So even if you have an idea of a product in mind that you want to turn into an evergreen, I always encourage you to test it, beta test it in person or like over Zoom, but beta test it with actual humans so that you can get the feedback. First of all, does it even work? Second of all, do people even want it? And then if you can find that to be true, then build it. But here's the thing with evergreen is that you still have to sell it. You still have to sell it. So just because you build something does not mean people will buy it. If you are not selling it, no one's buying it, right? So you have to be willing to sell no matter what your product looks like. And I think a lot of us will try to like, we hope, right? It's like, oh, if I do this thing, everyone needs this thing. So like everyone will just join it. Nobody knows. Nobody knows it exists. Nobody knows it's there. You could build a website. Nobody will ever click on it. You could build a sales page. Nobody will ever click on it, right? So you need to find a way to do all of these steps, right? Building the community, building those connections, building those relationships. All of that is positioning, okay? That needs to happen no matter whether it's in-person, evergreen, online, whatever, right? You need to have those pieces in place. With no community, you have no one to position to, no one to sell to, right? So, I mean, obviously you can do ads, right? And if ads are something you want to go down that pathway, great. But even if you do decide to do something like ads, having a community with testimonials who believe in you, who back you, who will refer you, that's way easier and arguably will make your ads more effective, right? People who have ads that have lots of good positive comments on them, those ads perform way better than the ads with nothing, right? So you want to be the type of business owner where your clients are going to comment on your ads and be like, yeah, I bought this thing from so-and-so and it's amazing. Like, I recommend it. They're great to work with. You want that. And you can only have that if you're willing to kind of put the time in to build the community and do all this positioning work first. Okay. Positioning and community, 100%. But in terms of like what's more effective and what's more profitable, whether it's online, in person, evergreen, they all work. Every single avenue that you desire to make money along those lines, it will work. The question is, do you have your systems in place to build the community, learn to position and sell, right? That is so, so needed. These are pieces I do teach in business school for people who are sensitive to energy. If that's something you're like, I need the business pieces. In numerology, in practical numerology, we have business boot camp where we cover some of these pieces as well. And obviously, like I do trainings like this where you can tap in whenever you need to. But yeah, like these are pieces that I find myself getting fired up on because it all works. Every single one of these works, right? Don't think it's not going to work for you. It will, but the process matters, right? Like the time investment matters, the actions taken matter. It's not just going to be like, I'm going to build a thing and it's going to be great. Like it will be great, but you have to work too. I mean, I wish I didn't have to, but then again, it's so funny because and a lot of my colleagues will say, how do you manage a live launch, right? The live launch that we're doing right now, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. I've taught a lot of content. I'm holding space for a lot of people. And it's a lot of investment of my time and energy into my community. And it's not easy, which is why a lot of people don't do it, right? And a lot of people will say to me, how do you do it? It's really hard. And I'm like, well, it is hard. And the alternative is also hard. I could market in a different manner, and that's also hard. I could quit and go get a corporate job, and that's also hard. I could get contracts. That's also hard. So, there is easy and hard ways, but no matter which path you take, it's going to require you to commit to something and do something that might not always be easy. But the thing I love about live launching is number one, community, right? Like I get to hang out with you guys here, and that just fills my heart so much. Number two, creating content creates more content. So if I'm desiring to be able to be of service to my community, all I need to do is start being of service to my community, and the ideas will explode. They will compound, they will mushroom. So if you've ever struggled with like, what do I say? I don't know what to say. Like, how do I do this? Well, number one, get support, either join business school, practical numerology, or the content membership. But then number two, the more you do it, the more you do it, right? Just like anything in life, the more you eat your vegetables, the better the vegetables taste. The more you create content, the easier it is to create content. The more you walk, the easier it is to go for long walks, right? It's the same with everything in life. Yeah. Anne-Marie's recounting the overhead we need to cover. So monthly membership for Meg. Yes. Anne-Marie's in the Magnetic Content membership as well. QuickBooks, VA, Zoom, Kajabi. Yes. Selling something in person is very different than selling evergreen. This is a very good point to make, right? These are factors to consider when you're looking at how big your community is, right? The smaller the community, the easier it is to position live in person, right? We want to connect with you. We want to see your face. We want to feel your energy. So if it's not you, it's going to be a little trickier of a sell. You might need a bigger community to position that. Can you touch on having a niche? Yeah. It's a big thing, but how do you know what your niche is without trying too many niches? My advice to everybody on niching is, number one, see people one-on-one. Start having sessions with clients. The more you have sessions with clients, the more you'll know what your niche is, because people will come to you and they'll say, these are my problems. This is what I want. So after every single client session, every single client conversation, document that, write it down. It's gold what they're telling you. It's gold. It is like getting paid for market research, right? I would also include, if you have friends, colleagues, whatever, that come to you for specific issues, take note on what they are. Because again, these are pieces that are likely part of your genius. The other piece I will say is incorporating numerology. So when you look at your chart, you can see what you're meant to do. You can see the gift that you have to share. You can see the energies and how they express through you. All of these things you can understand, right? Through your chart. The other piece is that we can also look at soulmate clients through advanced numerology. Now, these are soul contracts that you carry with your ideal clients. This is a piece I teach in advanced numerology, which is something you can take after practical numerology, which gives you so much rich information. Practical numerology comes first because first you have to learn how to feel the numbers and feel the energy. And we work with like 11 variables. Whereas when we go into advanced numerology, we work with 52 variables. So there's a lot of information to work with. And so it's important to really get comfort with the basic foundations first, because when you do, you pick that up very quickly. Finally, I would say you can also just ask one of my advanced numerologists for a soulmate client reading. I know Anne-Marie does them, but I think there's more as well. So if you want, you can always reach out to me. You can post in the community that you're looking for someone to do a soulmate client reading, or reach out to Anne-Marie, because I know she's got trainings on that and she's really good at that as well. But recognizing that there's lots of layers to it. Number one, the thing you love. Number two, what your clients keep coming to you for over and over and over again, the thing they complain about, the thing they want, right? Number three, looking at your chart, how your energy works. Number four, looking at your soulmate client codes and how their energy works. All of this is an iterative process. My business is like 11 years old at this point, almost 12 years old at this point. My ideal client today is not the same as it was 4 years ago and is not the same as it was 6 years ago. It's changed and evolved as I have and as my clients have, and your clients will too. So sometimes I feel like overly obsessing about your niche can just be a reason not to start messy. And I will always be a fan of starting messy and fixing things as you go. Like just that's a very classic 7 answer. Just do it. Just jump in the pool and start swimming and you'll figure it out. And then you'll figure out how not to swim, and then you'll figure out how to swim, and it'll be fine. Like, you're going to be fine. The universe will always make sure that you've got a floaty nearby. That's kind of my approach. But I do think there's a lot to be said in action breeds clarity. Every time. Action breeds clarity. You do not get clarity by overthinking and conceptualizing for days and days on end. You get clarity by doing it and getting that feedback loop of like, oh, I did this and it felt great. Or, oh, I did this and that was horrible. Like, good. Now you know. Good information. Business is one big fat experiment. Choose your hard, right? Choose your hard. I know. I keep getting, I don't know if it's, are you guys seeing this too? I keep getting these things on Instagram where they're like, market without showing your face, build a business selling reels without showing your face. Are you guys seeing this? I'm like, who believes this crap? Nobody buys from faceless giants. They just don't. They want to know and feel that you actually care and have their back, and like you actually support them and believe in them and they're safe with you. How are you safe with someone who's faceless? I don't know what they're trying to sell. So maybe if I actually looked at what they're trying to sell, it might make sense to me. But I'm like, for most of us, you need to be part of the equation. In fact, your energy is everything. Because remember, the information, that's free. It's the transformation we're attempting to price here, right? And that's your energy. Your niche is your energetic code. Absolutely. Numerology always gives us the foundation. Go and talk to Anne-Marie about soulmate client stuff. Yeah, I agree with that, Ryan. Too many people try to focus on niche too much. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Because I think you find your niche through your process, right? Through your action. Yeah. The dumb client avatars that, is like some of the traditional advice. Like, she looks like this. She wears these clothes. She shops at these stores. Like, oh my God. No. Yes, Ryan had a massive breakthrough when he intuitively released his niche. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. That was number 4. I know we're running a little bit over time here, but let me try to get all the bits in. Number 5. Number 5 is build a business with referrals. I cannot tell you enough how important it is to create a business such that your existing client base is happy. It's so much easier than to keep an existing client than to get a new one. That old business adage is 100% true. You would like to fill your business with clients who will buy again, who will refer you, who will tell their friends and family about you, who will buy your products as gifts for their friends' birthdays, who will say yes multiple times, who will buy all the things you sell, who will rave about you on your Facebook ads or random comment posts. Like, it's not that hard either. And this is the part that always blows my mind. It's not that hard. It means being an authentic human being who's willing to show up and like be invested in your client's success. Like, that's easy. It's not that hard. So I think, yes, being authentic, yes, being invested in your client's success, seeing, feeling, and understanding your client. And this comes back to knowing their code, right? When I understand that most of my clients have an incredibly powerful intuition, but they have insecurity around it, I can speak to that. And then they're like, oh my God, you get me. Most of my clients carry this code of wanting to desire what's fate, what's destiny, how does energy work? How does intuition work? Where's my control? Where's not my control? What's my job? What's not my job? How do I show up and feel like I have a purpose? My clients are all looking to be like purposeful, meaningful, fulfilled in their contribution. And so now that I know that, I can speak to that over and over again. And every time I do, they're like, oh my God, you get me. Oh my God, you understand me. You're speaking exactly what I've been wondering. Great. That's exactly it. Let me hold space for that. Let me hold space for that, because these are the questions I was literally born to carry the answers of, right? So let me hold space for that. Bringing your numerology in and understanding this, it helps you be so clear in who you are and who your clients are. The side effect of that is that you are authentic, that you are in integrity. Integrity literally means to be whole. And so when I think of the word integrity, I'm like, to be whole with my own energy, to be fully allowing and fully accepting of my own energy, all of it, the good, the bad, the shadow, the light, the ugly, the not so ugly, whatever. Because if I can embody that, then I get to hold space for my clients to do so. And we don't have to be perfect. We all get to be welcome, right? And, so that is the kind of like level 1 of this. The level 2 of this is I have clients who every single year on their birthday come back for a numerology reading and have for 10 years. Like, that level of loyalty fills my soul. I have clients who shout me out, recommend me and refer me to people who are looking for people to talk on podcasts, people to be guest speakers at events, people to go and do things at retreats or birthday parties or whatever. Like, because of that level of connection, right? And so, and just knowing that. The other collaboration thing that's been so beautiful is because of this unique knowledge, every class I join, training I take, mastermind I join, people will be talking and they'll be like, oh, Megan, we see such number pattern. Like, what does it mean? So like, I join other people's trainings and then all of a sudden they're like inadvertently highlighting me as an expert by asking me to talk about the energy for February, or, why they keep seeing 111 on the clock or whatever. Right. And so it's created so much collaboration and so much opportunities in that every class I've ever joined, whether it was a meditation class, a mastermind, at some point the host was like, Megan, talk about numbers. Like, okay, I will. And then I end up getting clients from those groups or referrals from those groups. And so I think it's really powerful to recognize, like, this is the best way to build your business. Like, in my opinion, like, it's free, it's easy, it feels good. and I think we overcomplicate stuff unnecessarily. And, not to say that I won't go down the path of exploring ads and things like that. I will be. But to this point, I haven't used ads to build my business. I haven't used ads to generate leads. I had 350 of you register for my training last week. No ads, all referrals based. And if you look at my social media network, it's not that impressive. It's not as big as some people who, a lot of other people who have been in business for 10 years or whatever. But yet I've been able to generate a really financially sustainable business off of a relatively small community and following. Now, there's an area for growth for me because I definitely would like to grow that. But it's so rewarding to know that you can make a lot of money off of a small email list when you apply these principles, right? It's super doable. Okay, I'm going to look back at some of these comments. Yay, Ryan's sharing his breakthroughs. So good. Okay, today was a big class. I want to hear from you. What was the piece that you really needed to hear on today's call? What was the thing that really sat, that really landed with you, that you're taking home from today's call? Feel free to pop it in the chat, or you can also unmute if you want as well, whatever's easier for you. Okay, well, Ryan, just make sure that you're not, being your own best kept secret. People deserve to get to experience and know about your magic. I love it. Quit worrying about the masculine energies out there trying to get me to niche down. Yeah, totally quit worrying about that. Absolutely. Your energy is your niche. Oh my God. Thank you, Anne-Marie. The reminder to step out of the matrix that's designed to keep you poor. Yes, please. Building community, being willing to be seen, being willing to sell. Yes, these are such good insights. Do you guys have an action step from today's call that you're going to apply, that you're going to take action on? I'm hoping everybody will have one thing they're going to do. At the start of the call, I was like, there's a little bit of mindset and there's a lot of action, right? There's a lot of action. Make sure I have an accessible product. Beautiful. And I also want to give you guys the reminder, practical numerology certification is open right now. And this will likely be the only offer this year. I used to always offer it twice a year, but I'm pretty sure this is the only time I'm going to offer it this year. It's going to be an incredible group of people. The doors are open until Friday, so you've got a couple more days to make your decision. But these are all pieces that we will weave in throughout the practical numerology certification. So if you want to learn how to understand your codes better, understand your client codes better, understand how to use numerology as a lead generator, whether it's one-to-one, one-to-many, use it for a foundation of discovery calls and sales calls, use it as a way to build products, right? Whether you want to build groups, masterminds, retreats, events, that kind of thing. These are all pieces that we can absolutely talk about in practical numerology, and that you'll learn all these resources to do this yourself, right? So if anyone wants to chat, let's have a conversation and see how it will fit for you. The certification itself is $2,000, but you can do monthly payments of $177 to keep it doable. And for $177, you literally need to sell one reading a month to pay for your investment, right? So if you want that, I will help you make that happen, because I just want more people out there doing magic. That is my goal. When am I offering advanced again? That is a great question, Tina. Potentially in the fall. For anybody here who wants to join advanced, please reach out to me and let me know, because I'm thinking probably September, which means you will want to be in this class so that you can take advanced in September. Yes, Anne-Marie's going to write a blog about what niching down actually means. So everyone go read Anne-Marie's blog. Reaching out to my email list to share my new offerings. Yes. In a one-to-many format. Beautiful. Yeah. You guys can listen to this call again. I'll send out the recording. Yeah. The mental shift that I am the value. My energy is the special sauce. It's so true. Yeah. And Anne-Marie is a perfect example of she paid for the course while she was in the course. I think she did it within like a month or 6 weeks of selling one-on-one readings. Super doable. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being with me. Thank you for sticking on this call, even though I know it ran quite late. I so appreciate it. As you're watching live or replay, DM me, let me know. You know that what I get jazzed up about is hearing how this is impacting you, how it's affecting you. The questions you have will also give me ideas for what I would like to share to support you guys going forward. And I hope that I get to see some of you in Practical Numerology because it is an incredible community. All right. Mwah. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Bye.